Most people think that when your penis won't get hard, it's a simple plumbing problem, a sign of getting older, a dip in testosterone, or something that requires a quick visit to the doctor for that little blue pill. It's seen as an isolated issue, a mechanical failure in one specific part of the body. But what if I told you that for a vast number of men, especially those over 50, erectile dysfunction isn't a local issue at all? What if it's actually a distress signal from your entire body? A loud and clear message that your fundamental systems are being starved of critical nutrients. It sounds counterintuitive, I know. We're conditioned to look for a direct, targeted solution for every problem. But the truth is, an erection is the final act of a very complex play, one that involves your heart, your blood vessels, your nerves, and your hormones all working in perfect harmony. It's something more and more men's health specialists and functional medicine doctors are beginning to acknowledge with urgency. The conventional medical approach is waking up to a new reality. For decades, the response to erectile dysfunction has been overwhelmingly pharmaceutical. And while those medications can be lifesavers for some and have certainly helped many men, they often act like a piece of tape over your car's flashing check engine light. The car runs for a little while longer, but the underlying engine problem is still there, getting worse under the surface. This one-size-fits-all solution can be profoundly harmful because it encourages both patient and doctor to ignore the root cause. What we're now understanding is that things that once seemed to help, like a pill that bypasses the problem, can later cause harm by allowing the foundational issues, like cardiovascular disease or severe nutritional deficiencies, to progress silently until a much more serious event occurs. An erection, or the lack thereof, is one of the most powerful barometers of a man's overall health. Ignoring its message is a mistake we can no longer afford to make. In this video, we're going to take a deep, comprehensive look at 3 specific vitamins that your body desperately needs to achieve and maintain a firm, healthy erection. These aren't exotic, hard-to-find compounds. They are fundamental building blocks of male vitality that are, for a variety of reasons, often dangerously low in men over 50. These are the very things that many experts in preventative health now ensure they have in abundance for themselves. We'll explore why these vitamins are so critical, the hidden dangers of their deficiency that go far beyond sexual function, and the better alternatives to simply masking the symptom with a pill. You deserve to understand what your body is trying to tell you. You deserve a solution that builds true, lasting health from the inside out, not one that just papers over the cracks. You have the right to feel powerful, vital, and confident at any age, and that journey begins with understanding the foundations. Let's begin. The first crucial nutrient we need to discuss is one that is deceptively simple, something we associate more with strong bones than with strong erections. It's vitamin D. Most men hear vitamin D, and they think, oh, that's for preventing osteoporosis in older women, or I get enough sun. It seems logical to overlook it when you're facing a problem as specific and personal as erectile dysfunction. But this perception is dangerously outdated. We have to make the shift from seeing vitamin D as a simple bone vitamin to understanding its profound and non-negotiable role as a master regulator of your entire cardiovascular and hormonal system. Thinking vitamin D is just for bones is like thinking engine oil is just for making the dipstick look wet. The truth is, it's lubricating and protecting the most critical functions of the entire machine, and when it runs low, the whole system begins to seize up. The first and most sensitive gear to grind to a halt is often your erectile function. To truly grasp this, we need to talk about a part of your body you've probably never thought much about, your endothelium. Imagine every single blood vessel in your body, from the massive aorta coming out of your heart to the tiniest, microscopic capillaries in your penis, is lined with a delicate, one-cell-thick layer. This is the endothelium. It's not just a passive pipe lining. It is a dynamic, intelligent organ that is in constant communication with your blood. Its primary job, especially when it comes to erections, is to produce a miraculous molecule called nitric oxide. When your brain sends a signal of arousal, it's the endothelium in the arteries of your penis that must release a flood of nitric oxide. This gas signals the smooth muscles in the artery walls to relax and open up, allowing a surge of blood to rush in and create the rigid pressure of an erection. So, endothelial health is erectile health. They are one and the same. Here's where vitamin D comes in, and it's a multi-pronged attack. First, scientific research has shown that vitamin D deficiency directly leads to what we call endothelial dysfunction. It does this by reducing the activity of the very enzyme, endothelial nitric oxide synthase, or eNOS, that produces nitric oxide. Your body can have all the raw materials, but if the factory foreman, vitamin D, isn't there to turn the machines on, production grinds to a halt. Second, a lack of vitamin D increases oxidative stress throughout your vascular system. Think of oxidative stress as a form of biological rust. It damages the delicate endothelial cells, making them stiff, inflamed, and unable to respond to your brain's signals. This is the very beginning of atherosclerosis, or hardening of the arteries. And because the arteries in the penis are so small, they are often the first place this damage shows up. An erection is essentially a test of your vascular system's flexibility and responsiveness. Vitamin D deficiency causes you to fail that test. But there's something even more concerning. Vitamin D isn't really a vitamin at all. It functions as a potent steroid prohormone. That means your body converts it into a hormone that regulates over 1,000 different genes. One of its most critical jobs in a man's body is to support the healthy function of the Leydig cells in the testicles, which are responsible for producing testosterone. Multiple large-scale studies have drawn a straight, undeniable line. As men's vitamin D levels fall, so do their testosterone levels. So a deficiency is hitting you with a double whammy. It's crippling your blood vessels' ability to respond, and it's depleting the very hormone that governs your libido and sexual function in the first place. The statistics are staggering. Some estimates suggest that over 1 billion people worldwide are vitamin D deficient, with that number skyrocketing in older populations, those who live in northern latitudes with less sun exposure, and individuals with darker skin. For a man over 50 living in North America or Europe, the odds of having suboptimal vitamin D levels are frighteningly high. Let me tell you about a patient of mine. We'll call him Robert. Robert was a 62-year-old retired accountant, a man who prided himself on his discipline and routines. He was meticulous, sharp, and had always been the one his friends came to for sound advice. He enjoyed his retirement, taking long walks with his wife, tending his garden, and playing with his grandkids. He was, by all accounts, in good shape. He had a healthy and loving intimate life with his wife of over 40 years. But over the course of about 2 years, he noticed a gradual, demoralizing decline. Erections were less firm, less reliable. It started to create a sense of dread and anxiety. He finally went to his family doctor, who did a quick blood pressure check, patted him on the shoulder, and said, "Robert, you're 62. This is just a normal part of getting older. I can write you a prescription that will help." Robert, being a man who trusted authority, took the prescription for a common ED medication. The pill worked, at least mechanically, but it felt hollow, like a crutch. Worse, he started noticing other things. A pervasive fatigue settled into his bones. His mood, once optimistic, became gray and flat. He had persistent, nagging aches in his joints and back that he just chalked up to another year on the clock. Intimacy became a scheduled, medicalized event, preceded by a pill, which stripped away the spontaneity and created a new layer of psychological pressure. The immediate problem of the erection was solved, but the man himself was fading. The pill was masking a much deeper, more systemic problem. His fatigue, his low mood, his aches and pains, these weren't just getting old. They are the textbook, classic symptoms of a severe vitamin D deficiency. By ignoring this root cause and just treating the erection, his overall vascular health was likely continuing to decline in the background, putting him at a significantly higher risk for a heart attack or stroke. The check engine light was covered, but the engine was burning oil and the pistons were starting to misfire. When he finally came to my clinic, a simple, inexpensive blood test revealed his vitamin D level was catastrophically low. He is now on a medically supervised high-dose supplementation plan and has learned to get sensible, regular sun exposure without burning. Within 3 months, his energy returned. His mood lifted. The aches faded. And yes, his erections returned, naturally and reliably. He told me his biggest regret was not asking, why sooner? Not questioning the "it's just your age" diagnosis that nearly cost him his vitality. This isn't just one story. It's a narrative playing out in clinics everywhere. The medical community is catching up. Leading research published in outlets like the Journal of Sexual Medicine and the International Journal of Impotence Research has repeatedly demonstrated a strong, independent correlation between low serum vitamin D levels and the prevalence of erectile dysfunction. It's no longer a fringe idea. Progressive cardiologists and endocrinologists are now routinely testing vitamin D levels in their male patients, not just for bone health, but as a crucial biomarker for overall cardiovascular and metabolic health. The understanding is evolving. We now see that protocols designed for a 25-year-old simply do not apply to a man of 60. The body's needs change, and our ability to synthesize vitamin D from the sun decreases with age, making us far more vulnerable to deficiency. Ignoring this fundamental building block is no longer an option for responsible medical care. This brings us to a more philosophical point. We need to reframe how we think about our health. Taking the time to get 15 to 20 minutes of midday sun on your skin, or remembering to take a vitamin supplement, is not a chore. It is an act of profound wisdom and self-respect. It's a rejection of the idea that our bodies are supposed to fall apart, and that our only recourse is to patch the pieces as they break. It's about connecting with a fundamental biological need that our modern, indoor lives have stripped away from us. Choosing to investigate your vitamin D level is an act of empowerment. It's choosing to build your house on a foundation of solid rock, rather than constantly repairing the walls of a house built on sand. It's about honoring your independence and your desire for a high quality of life. This isn't about vanity, it's about vitality. It's the choice to be a proactive creator of your health, not a passive victim of aging. If you're still watching this video and finding these insights valuable, please comment the number 1 below to let me know you're here and that this is resonating with you. It really helps me know what kind of information you find most useful. And if you haven't subscribed yet, I highly recommend you do, and also click that notification bell. Our goal is to provide information that empowers you to take control of your health, and subscribing ensures you won't miss any of our future deep dives. Your support helps us continue creating good content to inform and inspire you. Now, let's move forward to the second piece of this crucial puzzle. Our journey into the foundations of erectile health now takes us deeper into the very chemical reactions that make an erection possible. This brings us to our second essential nutrient. Number 2, the nitric oxide fuel, vitamin B9, more commonly known as folate. When most people think of B vitamins, they think of energy metabolism. They think of something you take to get a bit of a pep. And it's true, they are vital for that. But to pigeonhole a nutrient like folate into that one role is to miss its most spectacular function when it comes to male sexual health. It is, quite literally, the fuel for the engine of erections. To think that folate is just for energy is like thinking gasoline is just for cleaning car parts. You're missing its entire purpose. The conventional approach often focuses on things that are supposed to boost nitric oxide, but it completely ignores the nutrient that protects the nitric oxide factory from being sabotaged and shut down from within. Let's get into the science of this, because it's both elegant and critical to understand. As we touched on before, the star of the show in an erection is the gas molecule nitric oxide, or NO. When you're aroused, your nerves release neurotransmitters that tell the endothelial cells lining your penile arteries to produce NO. The NO then permeates into the smooth muscle cells of the artery wall, triggering a chemical cascade that causes them to relax. This relaxation is everything. It turns a narrow, constricted vessel into a wide-open channel, allowing blood to pour in under high pressure, creating the firmness and rigidity of an erection. The enzyme that synthesizes this magical molecule is called endothelial nitric oxide synthase, or eNOS. Now, in this biological drama, there is a villain. Its name is homocysteine. Homocysteine is an amino acid that is a natural byproduct of protein metabolism. In a healthy body, it's just a temporary stopover point. It's quickly converted into other harmless, useful substances. However, when this conversion process breaks down, homocysteine levels in the blood begin to rise. And high homocysteine is profoundly toxic to your vascular system. It's like pouring acid into your engine. It directly damages the delicate endothelial lining, and even more sinisterly, it uncouples the eNOS enzyme. This means that the enzyme, instead of producing life-giving nitric oxide, starts producing destructive superoxide radicals, a nasty form of oxidative stress. So, high homocysteine doesn't just stop NO production. It turns your NO factories into pollution-spewing plants that actively damage your blood vessels. This is where vitamin B9, folate, enters as the hero. Folate is an absolutely essential cofactor for the enzyme that detoxifies homocysteine. It is the key that allows your body to take toxic homocysteine and convert it back into the harmless and useful amino acid methionine. Without adequate folate, this vital recycling pathway grinds to a halt. Homocysteine levels climb, your eNOS enzymes get uncoupled, your nitric oxide production plummets, and your endothelium becomes a wasteland of oxidative stress. The result? The blood vessels in your penis become stiff and unresponsive. They cannot relax, they cannot open, and you cannot achieve a firm erection. It is a direct, causal chain of events. To make matters more complex, a significant portion of the population, up to 40% in some estimates, has a genetic variation known as the MTHFR mutation. This gene mutation makes it harder for their bodies to convert the synthetic form of folate, folic acid, found in fortified foods and cheap supplements, into the active form the body actually uses. For these men, they can be consuming what looks like enough folic acid, but their bodies are still functionally deficient, leading to elevated homocysteine and all its downstream consequences. This is why understanding the difference between synthetic folic acid and the natural, bioactive forms of folate is so important. Let me share the story of a man we'll call David. David was a 58-year-old software engineer, a brilliant man known for his sharp, logical mind and an almost obsessive dedication to his work. He lived on a diet fueled by convenience, takeout dinners eaten at his desk, processed snacks, and endless cups of coffee. His health was something he planned to get to later. Then, erectile dysfunction began. For a man like David, who solved complex problems for a living, this was deeply confusing and emasculating. He approached it like a coding problem. He was under a lot of stress, so he figured that was the variable. He went online and researched how to boost nitric oxide. He saw ads for supplements containing L-arginine, the amino acid that is the precursor to NO. It made perfect, logical sense to him. If you want more of the end product, just add more of the raw material. He spent hundreds of dollars over the next year on various L-arginine and testosterone-boosting supplements. He'd feel a slight effect sometimes, maybe a placebo, but nothing consistent. The problem persisted, and his frustration grew into a deep-seated anxiety. He started to believe his body was just fundamentally broken, a piece of faulty hardware that couldn't be fixed. The process was a cycle of hope and disappointment that began to strain his relationship with his wife. He was so focused on adding one ingredient that he never considered the factory itself was on fire. The L-arginine supplements were like delivering truckloads of high-quality lumber to a sawmill where the main saw blade was broken and the workers were on strike. The raw material was useless because the machinery to process it was being actively sabotaged by the high levels of homocysteine coursing through his veins, a direct result of his nutrient-poor diet and profound folate deficiency. The continued failure of his efforts crushed his confidence and made intimacy a source of fear rather than joy. It wasn't until he saw a functional medicine doctor at his wife's insistence that the real picture emerged. The doctor didn't just ask about his erections. He asked about his diet, his stress, his energy, and he ran a simple blood test for homocysteine and B vitamin levels. The results were a shock. David's homocysteine was dangerously high, and his folate levels were in the tank. The solution wasn't another booster pill. It was foundational. He was put on a high-quality, methylated B-complex supplement, using the bioactive form of folate that could bypass his likely MTHFR issue, and he was given a clear dietary plan. He swapped the takeout for leafy green salads, lentils, avocados, and other folate-rich foods. Within a few months, his follow-up blood work showed his homocysteine levels had plummeted back to the optimal range. And almost in perfect sync, his erectile function began to return, strong and reliable. The revelation for David was profound. His body wasn't broken. It was just starving for the right fuel. This focus on homocysteine is at the cutting edge of preventative medicine, but the science is well established. Decades of research have linked hyperhomocysteinemia, the medical term for high homocysteine, to an increased risk of all forms of vascular disease, from heart attacks to strokes and, yes, erectile dysfunction. Major health bodies like the American Heart Association acknowledge high homocysteine as a significant risk factor for cardiovascular events. While it may not yet be a standard test in every family doctor's office, forward-thinking urologists, cardiologists, and men's health specialists are increasingly looking at this marker. They understand that an erection is a vascular event, and homocysteine is one of the most potent vascular toxins. To ignore it is to miss a massive piece of the puzzle. The medical understanding is shifting from a purely mechanical view of erections to a biochemical one. We're recognizing that you can't just force a blood vessel to open. You have to create the healthy internal environment where it is able to open naturally. This leads to a powerful shift in mindset. We can stop seeing our diet as a matter of restriction or being good, and start seeing it as a direct act of fueling our vitality. Eating a large salad with dark, leafy greens isn't a punishment. It is a direct deposit of folate into your biological bank account. You are literally eating the raw materials that will protect your nitric oxide factories, lower a toxic substance in your blood, and allow your body to perform the miracle of an erection. It transforms the act of eating from a chore into a conscious investment in your virility, your heart health, and your longevity. This is the ultimate form of empowerment, understanding the why behind the what. It's not about following a diet. It's about providing your body with the essential tools it needs to do its job. It's a choice for collaboration with your body, not a battle against its decline. Now, let's transition to our third and final cornerstone nutrient, which addresses the problem from yet another critical angle: the integrity of the pipes themselves. This is number 3, the circulatory supercharger, vitamin B3, also known as niacin. For many people, their only association with niacin is the infamous niacin flush, that uncomfortable, itchy, red-hot sensation that can happen when you take it in higher doses. This experience has scared many people away, causing them to see niacin as a strange and unpleasant substance to be avoided. But what if I told you that flush, while manageable, is actually a powerful, visible sign of niacin's incredible ability to influence your circulatory system? It's a signal that something profound is happening under the skin. To dismiss niacin because of the flush is like refusing to use a powerful cleaning agent because it has a strong smell. You're focusing on a temporary inconvenience and missing the powerful benefit. The reality is, for men dealing with ED, particularly when it's linked to lifestyle factors, niacin can be a game changer. The scientific case for niacin is robust and multifaceted. Its most famous and well-studied benefit is its remarkable impact on blood lipids. An erection is all about blood flow, and that flow is compromised by atherosclerosis, the gradual buildup of fatty, waxy plaques inside your arteries. This plaque is made largely of cholesterol. Niacin is a powerhouse when it comes to optimizing your cholesterol profile. It is one of the most effective agents known for raising HDL, the good cholesterol which acts like a garbage truck, scavenging excess cholesterol from your artery walls and transporting it back to the liver for disposal. Simultaneously, it effectively lowers LDL, the bad cholesterol that deposits itself into the artery walls, and it is particularly potent at lowering triglycerides, another type of fat in the blood that contributes to arterial plaque and stiffness. Think about this. The arteries in the penis, the cavernosal arteries, are incredibly small, only about 1 to 2 millimeters in diameter. This is a fraction of the size of the coronary arteries in your heart. This is why erectile dysfunction is so often called the canary in the coal mine for heart disease. These tiny vessels are the first to get clogged up and show symptoms of atherosclerosis. By improving your entire lipid profile, niacin is performing a systemic cleanup of your entire vascular system, starting with the most vulnerable pipes. Now let's talk about that flush. The niacin flush is caused by the activation of specific receptors on the surface of cells in your skin, which leads to a release of compounds called prostaglandins. These prostaglandins cause the tiny capillaries in your skin to dilate dramatically, leading to the rush of blood, warmth, and redness. But here's the key. This vasodilatory effect isn't just confined to your skin. Niacin promotes vasodilation throughout the body, improving blood flow and reducing vascular resistance. It helps to make your blood vessels more flexible and responsive. Beyond lipids and vasodilation, there's an even deeper mechanism. Niacin is the direct precursor to two of the most important molecules in all of human metabolism, NAD+ and NADP+. These are coenzymes, meaning they are helper molecules that are necessary for over 400 different enzymatic reactions in your body. They are absolutely fundamental to cellular energy production, DNA repair, and your body's internal antioxidant defense systems. When niacin levels are low, NAD+ levels decline, leading to poor mitochondrial function, less cellular energy, and increased oxidative stress, that biological rust we talked about earlier. A cell that is low on energy and riddled with oxidative damage cannot perform its specialized functions, whether it's a brain cell, a heart cell, or a delicate endothelial cell in the penis. So, niacin is working on three levels: cleaning the pipes, lipids, widening the pipes, vasodilation, and powering the cells that line the pipes, NAD+. It's important to note, however, that the form of niacin that provides these benefits is nicotinic acid. Other forms, like niacinamide or no-flush, inositol hexanicotinate, do not have the same powerful effects on lipids or cause the flush, so they are not interchangeable for this purpose. Consider the story of Michael. Michael was a 68-year-old retired construction manager. He was a classic meat and potatoes kind of guy, strong and stoic, who had spent his life working hard. In retirement, he was enjoying a slower pace but was carrying an extra 30 pounds around his middle. For years, his doctor had told him his cholesterol was a little high and that they should keep an eye on it. As his erectile dysfunction became more pronounced, it wasn't just a blow to his ego, it was a real source of worry. A close friend had recently had a major heart scare, and Michael started to connect the dots. His doctor finally insisted it was time for a statin drug to manage his cholesterol. Michael was hesitant. He'd heard stories from friends about muscle pain and mental fog from statins and wanted to avoid them if he could. In his own research, he came across articles about niacin being used for cholesterol. Thinking he'd found a natural solution, he went to the health food store and bought a bottle of 500 milligrams niacin capsules. He went home and took one on an empty stomach. Within 20 minutes, his world turned upside down. His skin erupted in a fiery, beet red, intensely itchy blaze from his scalp to his toes. His heart was pounding. He felt panicked, convinced he was having a severe allergic reaction or even a heart attack. He paced around his house for an hour until the feeling subsided. Then he took the bottle of niacin, threw it in the trash, and felt a wave of fear and defeat. He concluded that the natural way was dangerous and unpredictable. He went back to his doctor, filled the statin prescription, and resigned himself to the side effects. The statin did lower his LDL cholesterol on paper, but it also gave him persistent muscle aches in his legs, and his ED didn't improve at all. He felt completely stuck between a rock and a hard place. It was only later, when he consulted with an integrative cardiologist, that he learned the truth. His initial approach to niacin was like trying to learn to drive by starting in a Formula One race car. The new doctor explained that niacin must be treated with respect. He had Michael start with a tiny 50 milligrams dose of nicotinic acid, taken with a meal and a single baby aspirin, which can help blunt the prostaglandin response. He was instructed to increase the dose by only 50 milligrams every week, allowing his body to slowly acclimate. This methodical approach completely managed the flush, reducing it to a mild, temporary warmth. Over 6 months, Michael worked his way up to an effective therapeutic dose. His next lipid panel was stunning. Not only had his LDL and triglycerides plummeted, but his protective HDL had shot up significantly, an effect his statin never achieved. And as his overall vascular health improved, so did his erectile function, especially when combined with the other lifestyle changes he was making. He realized his initial fear wasn't because niacin was bad, but because his approach was uninformed. He learned a powerful lesson about working with his body, not just shocking it. The medical world has a long history with niacin. For decades, before the advent of statins, it was a frontline therapy in cardiology for managing severe dyslipidemia. Esteemed publications like the Journal of Clinical Lipidology are filled with research on its efficacy. And while statins are now the standard first-line treatment due to their powerful LDL-lowering effects and ease of use, niacin remains an incredibly valuable tool. Many leading cardiologists still use it, especially for patients who are intolerant to statins. or for those with stubbornly high triglycerides and low HDL, a pattern that statins don't address as well. The evolving understanding is that a one-drug-fits-all approach to vascular health is insufficient. A truly comprehensive strategy often involves multiple tools, and for the right patient, niacin is an indispensable part of that toolkit. This brings us to a final, empowering philosophical insight. We can choose to see a bodily response like the niacin flush not as a negative side effect, but as powerful, direct feedback. It's your body communicating with you in a language you can feel. The flush is a testament to the substance's power to influence your vascular system. Learning to listen to that feedback and respond intelligently, by starting with a low dose and increasing it slowly, is a hallmark of wisdom. It's about moving away from an all-or-nothing mindset and embracing a more nuanced, respectful partnership with your own biology. This isn't about being reckless, it's about being responsive. It's about taking control of your health with knowledge and patience, proving that you have the capacity to use powerful tools wisely to achieve the results you desire. If this deep dive into how your body works is making sense to you and you're seeing the bigger picture, please take a moment to comment the word foundation below. It lets me know that this foundational approach to health is what you're looking for. Your feedback is what guides the creation of all our content. Erectile dysfunction in your 50s, 60s, 70s, or beyond does not mean your intimate life is over. It does not mean you are broken or that you are destined for a life of pharmaceutical dependency. If anything, it's the time when your wisdom and experience can become your greatest assets. The arrival of a symptom like ED is one of the most important check engine lights your body will ever give you. It is a profound opportunity, a call to action from deep within. It's a signal to stop, to question the systems that tell you to simply mask the problem, and to have the courage to look for the root cause. It takes courage to do less of the superficial and more of the foundational, not out of neglect, but out of a deeper understanding. True men's healthcare at this stage of life should be a conversation, not a conveyor belt of tests and prescriptions. It should be a partnership dedicated to honoring the incredible, intricate systems of your body, not just chasing and suppressing disease. It's about being deliberate in building health, not just reactive in fighting symptoms. It's about understanding that the health of the man is reflected in the health of his erections, and by nourishing the whole system with fundamental building blocks like vitamin D, vitamin B9, and vitamin B3, you aren't just fixing one problem, you are elevating your entire state of being. I encourage you to have a new kind of discussion with your doctor. Go in armed with this knowledge and ask questions. Ask if your vitamin D level has been checked. Ask if a homocysteine test might be revealing. Ask if your lipid panel could be improved through nutritional strategies before or in addition to medication. Ask the simple, powerful question, could a foundational nutritional deficiency be contributing to this? And how can we find out? This is about weighing the immediate, but perhaps superficial, benefit of a pill against the long-term, life-altering burden of ignoring the underlying cause. It's about valuing your time, your energy, your comfort, and your future vitality. You have earned the right to question. You have earned the wisdom to seek out root causes and build your health on your own terms. This is a new chapter, one defined not by what you've lost, but by what you've learned. Not a plumbing problem, but a whole body signal. Not a sign of being broken, but a call for deep nourishment. Not the end of intimacy, but the beginning of a more profound and authentic understanding of your own health. This is the path to a life that isn't just longer, but is vibrant, energetic, and filled with the meaning and connection you so richly deserve.